Okay, kiddos, how about a little story time? Uh, my mother's grandparents were born as slaves in Kentucky, and sometime in the 1930s, my mother and her family moved to Chicago. My father's grandparents were born as slaves in Noxubee County, Mississippi, which is where my father was born and raised. He had six brothers and one sister. His mother and father did the best they could. They had a little subsistence farm. They raised what they could. No hot water, no running water, no electricity. This was purely rural, totally rural farm. One of his brothers was named Luther. My uncle Luther was maybe 6'6" and maybe 200 pounds, a long, tall string bean, and just about as mean as you could get, even though he was always very nice to me and my sisters. He had a penchant for fighting. He would fight anyone, anytime, for any or no reason. I'm not surprised to find when he was born, he probably punched out the midwife for just no reason whatsoever. But anyway, my Uncle Luther had a penchant for getting drunk and going into the village of Shuqualak and fighting anybody and everybody and kicking ass left and right. The problem is he also had a tendency to fight and beat up white men, which in Mississippi in the 1930s was, let's say, frowned upon, to the point where the local Ku Klux Klan group decided they'd had enough of Luther. And they decided that on this particular night they were going out to my grandparents' home, kill everyone there, and burn the entire place to the ground. Shed, house, crops, whatever. One of their members kind of had a conscience. He felt badly because my grandmother had done some housework for him and sewing work. She did sewing for various families to make a few dollars. And he felt bad. He couldn't go along with this. So he went out to my grandparents' home and told them what was coming. Well, knowing that there's nobody to seek assistance from or support or protection from, including the sheriff of the county, who was probably within the group that was coming out to kill them all, the entire family simply left. They got in their wagon and went to the nearest train station. I'm not sure where that was. May have been Philadelphia, Mississippi. And they went to Chicago. They left, just walked out and left with nothing but the clothes on their back. And that's how they ended up in Chicago, where one event after another ended up in my father meeting my mother in Chicago. So in a kind of roundabout way, I owe my existence to my Uncle Luther. So this is for him. This is for Uncle Luther.